officially live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 4 of Dead Realm Season 3. I'm your humble DM, Tyler. And with us is 4 out of the 5 players. So, Notable has left the game based on his own personal reasons. And Braille is absent for tonight, but we have the remaining 4 players. So, if you guys would like to reintroduce yourselves to the audience. There you go. Nice. All right. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Oh, I had my desk audio off, but it should be fine now. All right. So you guys went through some adventures throughout the last session, mainly encountering some bandits who were after the encounter was robbing a corpse of your old friend Ladle. You burned the bodies and you buried Ladle properly. And after gathering some of the equipment, you did a couple full rests as you guys are traveling day to day to the dwarven city known as Vurturhm, a city that Dalvin has been trying to lead you guys to truly explore most of the world and try to figure out what's really going on. Um, you guys were encountered this remaining remnants of the bandits, dealt with them. Not, but before you could finish them, one of them says that they didn't kill Ladle before ending their life. You guys then continue to travel, and along your travels, you saw some dwarven guardsmen or soldiers. You're not too sure what position they are, but they needed some help battling a horde, and you guys successfully were able to assist in that. And the dwarves, along with you guys, are walking towards the city of Vurturhm. Dalvin, describe to me what you remember about the city of Vurturhm the last time you visited. Describe what it looked like to you before the last time you remembered coming into the city. When you are approaching the city, you realize that all that stuff you remembered has completely changed. What once stood as a large mountain that was carved with city with cave networks and towers and spires and what have you is now just nothing more than just a standard city. What used to be the barrier that your forefathers created to repel against the city is now nothing but broken and rubble, and only a few of the remnants of the wall remain intact. This once large, bustling, loud city is now somber, quiet. The sound of activity is very low. This large scale mountain sized city is now nothing more than a small, not even a small mountain. It's more like hill city. The city that you once knew or once remembered is now gone. Now what remains is a um, an embarrassment of what you remembered. What do you? The dwarf, one of the dwarf guys who was walking with you says, "What do you mean? What happened here?" The wall fell many, many years ago, my dwarven friend. Where have you been living? Hmm. Hmm. Well, that damn necromancer spread his influence here. That's what happened. Those death wardens, they were so powerful that they dismantled most of the city, melted it down for petty gold and other raw materials. The ores that we used to have are not as frequent as others, and they even shut down the damn mine, so we couldn't even use that material to rebuild our city. Now we're just left with, especially the mines. They forbid us to enter it, saying that it's cursed or what have you. It's a pretty blasted excuse if you ask me. We have, and no one has come out. We think it's both. And oh yeah, he's still around, but I think he's the only Mason now. The Death Wardens forbid it. I agree. But to ensure that our culture exists, we must follow these new doctrines from these so called wardens. He says to you, well, firstly, we're not slaves. We just have to pay him some gold just to remain existing. It's a damn shame, I do know, but that's the rules of the land now. And the land is now owned to the necromancer. He says, well, it's bullshit, but sometimes we just gotta suck it up and deal with the stench. These death wardens, they travel. They don't stay in one place. Even if we do know, I don't think we would recommend it. It would bring, most likely, our culture to knees knowing that a dwarf would stand up against them. At this point, you get close to the city gates, and a pathetic excuse of a wall or gates um, is closed, and what the dwarven man who you've been talking to says, "It's us! Open the gates! We got visitor, a dwarf and his companions who saved our lives." They're like, "We're opening up the gates!" And after a few minutes, they start to open the gates. Okay, you do so. All right. It's Kingsley and Sam is with you. Sam says, "If you guys need me, I'm gonna see if there's any taverns in the city or town, city. Um, so I'll come to you guys when I find a tavern." And at this point, Sam walks away from the party, and Kingsley will follow suit. So now it's just you four in and this city. Where would you guys like to go? All right. All right. So you go try to find Alvin's parents. All right. As you are walking around the city, but luckily the layout hasn't really changed much. If anything, a great massive layout of the city has been greatly reduced to where it's only like the essential stuff that's really been surviving. You are relieved to find that Mason's Masonry, the city workshop, uh, is still there, and it's still up and it's still running. All right, Dalvin heads in. You walk in, and as you look around the area, the smell of brick and mortar being built, the smell of your craft, and the look of the shop still remained exactly as you remembered it. And you see a figure in the back. You do recognize this figure as your father, Dalvin the Third. Luckily, is still alive. However, he would be met with your other family members, but it seems like he's the only family member dwarf that is working the masonry shop now. And as you guys are entering, closing the door, Dalvin the Third says, "Hey, welcome to," and he's relieved to see my son. You have returned. My son. He puts down. He ungloves his mason gloves and opens the counter lift and walks over towards you and gives you a big hug. He says, "My son, I'm glad that you are alive. I was afraid for the worst when you went off on your adventures, but I'm so relieved that you have come back in one piece." And and these are your friends. I see one of them is even a giant's friend. Hmm. Well, a friend of Dalvin is certainly a friend of mine. I am Dalvin Mason III, and you are? As he puts out his hand. Fee Fi. It's a pleasure to meet you. And he says to you as he looks, he says, it seems like you haven't aged since you left the house. Not even grown a little bit of hairs. It's strange. Uh, yes, the city, unfortunately, has dramatically changed over the years. There was some necromancer with some creations he calls Death Wardens. Said that if we didn't pay his tax, that he would destroy the remnants of Vurturhm. Of course, we didn't call his bluff, and we laughed at his face. However, the next day, a quarter of the mountain was destroyed. More and more of this, excuse me, more and more days passed. He keeps offering the tax, but we try to battle him. But his magic, strange magics, his army of undead, and the Death Wardens were too much for us. So the leaders of then made a deal that they would pay a tax monthly, and were forbidden to enter the mines, and the mines, as the mines would be used for the necromancer's personal schemes. We've been trying to go in and out of the mines, however, none have make it. They're either dead by either the necromancer's works or beings, or strange creatures that normally would come out a stranger. And everyone's forbidden to enter the mines, so just crippled the city. Well, son, we can't predict the future. We can only assume, and if we have time, prepare. But we can never predict any true events. Have you now? What is this new technique that you have learned? Out of sand? There's chemistry in this witch. he says, I must see this new technique. Perhaps it could help rebuild some of the houses that were destroyed. It's what we've been up to this whole time. We tried building the wall, and then they killed your brother. Yes, they killed Calvin for trying to rebuild the wall, and were threatening to chop my hands if we were to continue further. The disgrace, I tell you. How are we supposed to protect ourselves? Many haven't gone into the mines in months. At this point, they're all too scared to enter the damn mines. What? That's suicide, son. Make a persuasion check. Excuse me, charisma check. I know. Make a charisma check. 10? He said, oof, oof. How do you do so? Okay, go ahead and re-roll it. um, the tower needs to be rocked at. No. Your father says, "No, I will not give up Calvin's tools for your adventuring deeds. I already lost one son. I do not want to lose another." He's you can see he's visually upset of your response. Um, but he says, "If you're gonna go into those damn mines, it's best speak to Lufer. You know, Lufer Braun Anvil, the blacksmith. Recommend going over there if for any equipment that you might need." He looks at you, said, Remy, that old gal. Yeah, she's still around. Most of the time, she spends her time over at Brenna's boutique. You know, the journal shop. Hangs out with Brenna. He said, he says, "What are you trying to find? This necromancer?" And he chuckles himself. Ah, oh yeah, still in the same spot. The layout hasn't changed. Yes, there were other. You know, there are other shops, other mason shops, and other blacksmith shops, but now we're just down to the ones that have been around forever, since our forefathers' generation. Well, he gives you directions to rent a shop, and then he says, "You'll find Remy around there, most likely." All right, love you, son. It's good seeing you again. All right, you guys exit the mason shop. All right. You go, you follow the directions, and you go to Brenna's boutique. Seems like a general store that would sell basic gear and supplies. You open the door and you see a light-skinned female dwarf having conversations with an elderly uh, white female dwarf. And as soon as you open the door, the bell rings, and Brenna says, "Oh, hi. Welcome to my shop. Welcome to my boutique. Would you guys like to purchase any wares by chance?" "Well, food I do have. Depends on how much you wish to purchase." 3 nights rations. It would run you about 4 gold pieces worth. Of course, just let me know what else you need, and what about the rest of you? The old woman says, "Yes, I am ready. Who are you?" Continue. All right, and you give her the necklace. You see a face of recognition of Remy saying, "Oh, you have the necklace I gave to Ulrich." Then he has passed. Then mm, uh, she says, "Well, she will accept it with two hands." She says, "And I am honored that you have completed his final wish of bringing this back to me. I thank you so much. You do not know how well this means to me." And she's starting to tear up a bit. You see Dallin crying a bit. She says, "No, there. You've done so much already. You've done so much of just bringing this here. I'm very grateful that you have." Lavina, it is nice to meet you, Lavina. All right, you do so. At this point, you see Brenna being teary eyed, wiping whatever tears remain with a handkerchief. She says, "That's so touching." Oh, wipes her the remains of tears. Says, oh, "Well, that I didn't expect that today, huh?" Right. Well, I do have glass bottles and a 10-foot pole. Would you like to buy both items or one or the other? What a moment. Oh, of course, of course. The rations are 4 gold, like I said. And the 10-foot pole. One moment, please. And what is the other thing you wanted? Alright. She says, well, for all of that, it would cost you about 12 gold. Make a charisma check. 5 at a time. 18. She says, well, I could let it go for 8 gold. Alright. You give her the 8 gold and you are giving your items. water water we don't usually sell, fortunately. Most of it we really use the wells for ourselves, so we don't really sell water anymore. But I can give you some additional rations. We have about 6 left. How many do you need? Okay, well. at this point, Brenna's like, "Come on, seriously, you believe that those rumors?" Huh. The rest, huh? Hmm. How much gold did I say was the rations, Ethan, for you? Okay. Three, 4 gold for three. You have 20 gold. I would say it would cost you about. Well, she'll say, well, for the rest of the rations, um, it would cost you about 8 gold pieces for the rest. All right. You have 6 rations that. Keep in mind, every 5 rations counts as 1 slot. So, all right. Nope. She says, "Well, if you're looking for a place to drink and eat, there's the never-ending keg that's still up and running." Dalvin, you remember the name of the never-ending keg because there's a magical. It's known for having a magical keg that never runs out of dwarven ale, and you're surprised it's still up to this day. Hearing news about it. It's at this point, it is the sun has set. All right. All right. There there now exists a time god, so thank you for the lordom. Yeah. Yeah, and for oh my god, that's some good folklore there. Holy shit. All right. So, as as you guys travel to the never-ending cake, and you see that it is lively with sound and music and noises that you do remember being very familiar, Dalvin. The the sound of playfulness, a great sound of music, still up in the air, just as you remembered it. And you're like, oh, I really hope they have some great food. They hope they still have some great food the way I remembered it. And when you walk in, it's like as if it has never changed. The lively music, the dancing of the dwarves, the smell of fresh cooked food is in the air, and just an overall sound of camaraderie plagues your guys' senses. All right. So, are you guys gonna basically drink, eat, sleep? All right. So, oh, um, go ahead and make a perception check, and I'll give you advantage because you're a dwarf. Damn. 17. Everyone's having a good time. You as a dwarf know better that this happens every single day. I mean, this is life. This is how to live as a dwarf. But when you remembered it, it was a little bit more lively, and about more fun and getting together. Rather, the even though everyone is like being happy and having a good time, they're doing this to use it as an excuse to, well, what's the best way to describe it? They're using it as a good excuse to forget about the bad times that are going on right now. We'll say that. Yeah, it's a distraction. Thank you. Not that you know, but you do know some giant ones. All right. All right. Go ahead and make a charisma check, adding your D4 because you are performing your special talent. So he is a performer, so whenever he does his special talent, he rolls a D4 in addition to the roll. Dirty 20. You nail every single pick and chord and rhythm to the tone. And despite you being a giant, everyone seems to enjoy it. They sing along, they dance to your jig. You really helped raise their spirits even more. As you. Alright. But your performance is really good. you, you know what? I'm down for it. As a metalhead, I'm down for it. So there's some smoshing, there's some jumping in the crowd. One dwarf gets tackled over the other in the out in the heat of the march dancing, but he is easily picked back up as if he's floating above the ground for a brief moment before standing back up. So that is what Fifi is doing. I'm assuming you're partaking in such dances, Dalvin. Oh. All right. Lavina, what are you doing during all this? Okay. Gotcha. Nice. Tangy, what do you... Go ahead. No, go ahead. Okay. You go over to the bar counter sometime later on in the night. Say, older man taking coin, and he turns to you and says, "Oh, hey, whoa! I've never seen an elf around these parts in quite a long time. What brings you to the never-ending keg? Just to get a drink and some food?" Oh yeah. She goes, "Oh, those are your friends. Hmm. That giant does some great singing. Perfect renditions." Hmm. Well, he does have a good voice, but I'm presuming you're asking for to pay the tab or to stay for the night. So he says, he looks at you and your companions, and he sees Sam, who's joining in the mushing, and just see Kingsley just chilling in the corner, just paying mind to his own things, reading books or what have you. Says, I'm assuming those two are part of your group as well. Yes. Well, they each had a meal, and they each had some dwarven ale. So that's 4 gold pieces a person. It's it's 20. It's 20. It's 20 gold. It's mainly for the dwarven ale, of course. Well, luckily, it's really just one big room with private entry, so it would be 2 gold a person. Mm-hmm. Make a charisma check. 19. He says he looks at the amazing performance that Dalvin and Fifi are doing, and he goes, "You know what? You are right. Perhaps I could let you at least pay for the food. You know, food ain't cheap nowadays." All right. Okay. He says, "Very well." He takes the 12 gold. Says, "I just need 8 more gold, and then we'll be square." Okay. Okay. You can respond to it back mentally. So all right. You finish playing a last chord, and as the motion swings from the last down chord, you strum, you grab the your coin pouch, and as you're instinctively moving your hand away from the loot, you toss your coin pouch directly at Lavina, and Lavina catches it. Seems like no one paid too much attention to that. She at this he he says, "Very well, I shall accept this." And then at this point, you're given a room key. He says, "Here you go." Gives out one room key. Of course. And, well, if you need any more food or dwarven ale, just let us know. All right. Tangi, what are you doing during all this? I hope probably not, but I hope someone like animates this moment where it's just a metal concert. It would be fucking dope. The bartender looks at you questionably. Goes, "Work. Your friend paid for it. There's no labor to be owed." Listen, lad. You do not need to worry. The only thing you need to worry is to have a good time, enjoy some good ale, enjoy some good food, enjoy the company you keep, and to rest easily for the night. There's no need for you to owe us in labor. All right, you pack your things and you go up to the room. The room is upstairs, and you see that similar to how like Baldur's Gate 3 has like its room layout, it's kind of similar to that, where it's more like private areas and what have you. And there is enough private area for you and your party. Of course, you armor out the dents in your armor. As you are, there's a older dwarf that approaches you, who seems to have taken refuge for the night as well, and he comes up to you. Oh no, I don't have a name for this dwarf. I'll make one up. He says, comes to you and he says, you are a acolyte, it seems. If am I mistaken? A warrior of soul. I am Elend, Elend. I am Emlyn High Mountain. I used to be a priest for Galmir, the god of the mountains. I'm happy to see a fellow holy man walking the lands. No, there is. That is precisely correct. Not many of us left in this world. And when there's not many left holy people, there is not enough connection to the gods. I'm not too sure what the elves and the halflings and the humans, how they preach, but we do know that our gods work in similar ways, and it seems like we have lost connection to them. Just no, I was wondering what your travels bring. Hmm. Just seeking shelter. Hmm. I see. Just surviving like everyone else, then. Hmm. Well, I just wanted to come by to make sure my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. Hmm. Very well, then I'll pray to Sol that he is still being praised to, and I'll also pray to my god Galmir as he is still being prayed to this day. And enjoy the rest of the night, and he kind of walks away from your area. Over, all right. Over a brief amount of time, you guys party hard for the ones who party hard, and eventually all of you take a full rest. No need to roll a random encounter because you're in a safe space. Um, so you could roll hit dice to regain hit points if you lost any. You can regain 1d4's worth of spell points if you've used any. But besides that, we're just gonna move on. You guys wake up and you guys are packing your gear, getting your armor on. You start to notice while doing a head count that Kingsley's gone missing. Alright. You guys begin to grab your items and walk towards the mines. You, Tangi, are met with Luminous, who has been chilling outside. People mistaking him as the sun. Uh, but nonetheless, you guys travel to the mine area. Along the travel, you see a group of guardsmen, seems like to be controlling a crime scene of sorts, and try to keep people away. You guys approach the crime scene, and I want everyone to make perception checks for me, please. 18, 15, 19. All of you see, while the as you try to get closer, the dwarven guard holds you back a bit. As you guys get like visual from at the crime scene, you see a grim sight. Amongst some ruins, you see a couple dwarven corpses um, around the area, but roughly, unfortunately, amidst the corpses, you see Kingsley's corpse around the same area. Stuff still intact. He and similar wounds both to the corpses and Kingsley. Um, the similar wounds you found in Ladle, just a lot of claw marks and what have you. The all right, you say, well, we woke up and one of the townsfolk saw this grisly sight. We have contained it since then. We do not know exactly what it happened, but we are investigating the matter. That's all we know so far. This was just reported a few moments ago. They look at they look at you. What for? You're not a hired guardman. I'm sorry to hear that your friend was amidst the victims, but we can't just let anyone look at the bodies. We need to have our lieutenant captain investigate it. All due respect, friend. You got going to the mines. Hmm. I don't know what you're doing on the mines, but no one has can't come out of the mines and lived. Hmm. Well, her custom. Her custom of what? And then you just walk away. All right, you walk away. All right, you guys. You guys go towards the mines. You see a bunch of signs that say "Do not enter," "Forbidden," "Do not enter," and just multiple signs that show a clear presence of caution and a clear presence and should give you enough motivation to turn back. But you guys are adventurers, and you guys are um, not destined, but you guys are strong-headed and continue to go deeper and eventually go towards the entrance of the mines. And that's where we're going to take our break. All right, we shall be back in a few moments, so stay tuned. All right, we're back live. You guys are entering into the mines. You guys go towards the entryway. You walk over some planks that are meant to be treated as barricades, and you continue to climb down. As you continue to climb down, the light slowly starts to fade until Sam lights a torch, lighting up the path. You guys continue further. Um, what is the marching order? Okay. Okay. All right. It's all good. Okay. And then Sam will kind of be right in front of you. Will be right in front of you, Lavina. uh, Let me just do this real quick. I'm just writing it down for no reason. No reason whatsoever. Uh, Not yet. Maybe. Depends. I don't know. Uh, who knows? Um, all right. You guys continue to travel down. This used to be a mining area, so for Dalvin, so far it's just like abandoned tracks or broken tracks with some turned over. I forgot what you call. I guess buckets, like large buckets with wheels. I forgot what they're called. Mine carts. Thank you. The words escape me. Um, you see some tipped over mine carts. You look around trying to see if there's anything to salvage whatsoever, but most of the equipment or weapons or other things that could be providing this role is rusted due to age. As you guys are continuing down the mine paths, as you continue down, you see 5 tunnels in front of you. There's one that continues on the path you keep on taking. There is one above, there's one left, there's one right, and then there's one that is in between the path you're taking and the one above. So so again, it's top, bottom, left, right, and middle. You guys are currently at the bottom, facing this. You guys continue the track to the middle path. I would like everyone to make perception checks at this point. 15? 5. Let me roll for Sam here. I'm just gonna make it straight d20 rolls. All right, she got a 10. Um, Dalvin, I think, got the highest. Yes, 15. You could, as you guys are continuing the path, you start to see that it's getting dwarven size. So you kind of had for the non-dwarf people, you kind of have to crouch. This is especially uncomfortable for you, Fifi, and definitely uncomfortable for Luminous. But for Sam and Lavina, they just had to crouch down and just basically do a duck walk. Well, or go, yeah, basically I had to do a duck walk. Um, you are leading the charge, Dalvin. There is as you continue further ahead, as light tracks from the back of the party, you start to see what seems like to be a large open area. However, due to your perception check, you see that there is a ledge. The path that would lead into this area has crumpled down a bit due to age. And when you look down, you see that it leads down to a 50-foot drop. And you're the one that spots it, and you're in front of the party. Hello? Oh. It's all good. It happens. Yeah. All right. You go back towards the choice selection. Everyone make perception checks to see what you hear. 18, 19, 2. Let me roll for Sam. She rolled a 1. Um, you, Dalvin, and you, Lavina, as you're coming out, as you're rethinking your choices, you two are the only ones that hear like ghostly sounds, just echoings of ghostly sounds going. Sounds of like ghosts just echoing throughout the entire area that you guys are in. Okay. I'm gonna roll D4 here. Dalvin and Lavina, go ahead and make perception checks for me. 17, 14. Dalvin, you hear the echoes coming from the path that continues on from when you entered into this area. So down. You see where you hear the ghostly sounds come from. All right. You go to the down path. As you continue forward, Dalvin, you start to hear more of these ghostly voices around you. As you get closer and closer, as you continue the path forward, it does lead you to the bottom of where this 50-foot drop would have been on your previous path. As you kind of enter the precipice of this area, you start to hear the kind of like disperse outward as you and your party enter the area. And as based on your guys' current space, you see what seems like to be an old area, possibly a a social area, we'll say, of where like not to say that this is like a break room or everything, but these seem to be like main quarters of where the dwarves would hang out whenever they're not working or socializing. And you see that in this room, based on your current positioning right now, you see a bunch of dead corpses. Same thing, rusted tools, weapons, etc. You see what seems like to be moldy couches and fireplaces that would have worked. However, it's the way that it's this room is formed. It seems like something or someone made an effort to cover these fireplaces up. Other than that, there's a path that leads left and a path that leads right. All right. You move the furnishings away from one of the fireplaces. You see that the fireplaces themselves, there's no wood in it whatsoever, and it doesn't seem to be damaged or what have you, indicating that it could be used given if you have proper materials. Well, there's some wood furnishings and what have you. You do know there's um, basic tools and what have you. So, in theory, you could make a small fire if you wish. This would be an intelligence check. This tower, um, it's very strange. You know that your culture would definitely keep these fires lit to keep warmth because it gets cold the deeper you get into the mountain. It makes no sense why someone would put furnishings in front of a fireplace. It seems like you don't know why the furnishings were in the fireplace in front of the fireplace in the first place, but you do know that doors would always have a fireplace the deeper they go into a mountain. You aren't too sure based on your check. You do know that it's quite strange. Like someone had to make an effort to do this, but you can't quite put your finger on what exactly who or what would do such a thing. You do not see any char marks or what have you. The only like indications that would be to indicate that fire would be lit is like the old torch lights that would be hanging decorative around the room. There's like some old markings from what clearly seems to be um, markings that lit torches would leave over longer periods of time, or if it's been lit in around the same area, it would leave some marks, but very faintly though. It's all good. Make an intellect check. 15. You look all around the room. You look at the corpses. These corpses have been dead for quite a while, but you could indicate that, some corpses, they are either. What's the best way to describe this? I'm trying to think here. The corpses that aren't skeletons, we'll say, show indications that possibly there was a fight that broken out. You don't know whether it's like from a creature or whether just a fisticuffs. You aren't too sure, but you do know that some sort of struggle occurred, and based on what Dalvin has said, it could be an indication that these fireplaces were blocked for a reason. You just can't figure out what that reason was, but you do indicate that there is some fight or struggle that may have broken out in this room. You're muted, kind sir, if you're trying to speak. Oh, hello. All right. Tangy and Fifi, what are you two doing during all this? You growing within the mountains and what have you, you would indicate yes that these would serve as a way for oxygen and a way to keep warmth. All right. So you guys lit a fire. All right. So you guys. Oh, you want to say something serious? Okay. Gotcha. It's all good. You guys start to light a fire based on the materials around you. You build a small fire. As you lit this fire, I would like everyone to make a perception check for me, please. Okay. Let me roll d20 here. Yeah. As you light the fire in the fireplace, you create a small fire, and obviously it reflects with shadows and what have you. As you guys look around to get a better view of the room, now that most of the room's lit from this place, you see a creature about the size of Fifi, maybe this even taller, more slender type of figure, just crawl just in a quick, fast motion like a shadow, quickly go into the passage to the right, and you hear, and in the flash, it is gone. That gif. um, yeah, but like a tall, lanky figure just quickly goes into the path to the right as soon as the brightness of the room is big. All right. You guys go to the path to the right. You hear more shadowy voices. And at this point, I would like Stalvin's leading way to make a perception check for Dalvin. All right. No, you don't. You can fate die it. All right. If it gets worse, you'll hear something completely different. 17. You hear most of these ghostly voices spur out, and as soon as you get deeper and deeper into this uh, tunnel that you are going through right now. All right. You guys continue forward and you enter a larger area. It seems like to be an area in which some metal ores would be mined. You see um, rusty pickaxes and the corpses of dwarves. Um, both, both skeleton and not recent as in like it happened yesterday, but recent as in like a month ago, as you see rotting corpses along the area as well. And you do recognize Dalvin as, yeah, this would be an area where the dwarves would mine, and it's a large area. So this must be where the mines would receive its, where the town of Vurturhm would receive its benefit of metal ores used for a variety of things: crafting, building, weapons, tools, all that stuff. They are arrested. Did did you hear me or did I cut out? It's all good, my man. Yeah. No, you can only see what the light you guys are providing, which is a torchlight and whatever like immediate surrounding light from Luminous, which isn't a lot. So Luminous, go ahead. You chuck it into the darkness. You hear, so the room or area goes a bit more further than you expect. Nope. Okay. As you guys are advancing, I would like all of you to make perception checks for me, please. A. What you roll, Lavina? Oof. Oof. Dalvin, what you roll? Oh, the spookiness. All right. So with your natural 20, Joseph, you as you go deeper into the room, obviously light adjusts accordingly. You start to see as you get deeper that figure that you guys saw earlier, just this tall, lanky figure about the size of Fifi, just crawl up the walls and enter one of the holes in the ceiling. Luminous, all right, Luminous runs in, strikes the hole with his sword. Some rubble collapses, but no sight of that creature. Sam's like, "What the hells was that?" Make it make it intellect check. 6. Would you like to fate roll that? If you fail, you'll get false information. All right. You don't recognize the creature based on your studies. You have never seen or read about a creature like this. You can certainly try. The DC is going to be a DC 20, though, since it is something obscure from your studies. It would be an intellect roll. Yes, because you're trying to recall knowledge from your priesthood, and priests would know about some creatures, but this type of creature is obscure. 22. You being the acolyte to the god of light, your one of your main duties is to eradicate creatures in the darkness. One of the obscure ones you might have heard is something called a shadow stalker. It ranges anywhere between medium size or even larger size, and it kills things that are in darkness. And you're taught that the lights of your god, I forgot the god's name right off the top of my head, I'm sorry, of, say again? Yeah, so you're taught that the god of lights, the soul's lights would extinguish the shadows and the creatures that lay within it. And it's something small and obscure that you only remembered once, but seeing that how this creature reacts to lights and what have you, you do recall that information, even though it's scared. But you do remember a creature like this. Okay, you cast light on a sword, and since the light spell is extended, you see it seems like to be another lengthy shadow stalker, like quickly run away from your lights, deeper into the room. All right. You guys go deeper into the room. This mining area is more and more extended. Eventually, as you get move closer and closer, you do see like a shadow stalker quickly going up. And as you get to the other side of the room, you can recall at least 5 of them running away from your shadows. And there's a path that continues forward. Do you like to continue forward? You continue the path, and it leads into a larger area. In fact, a bigger area. Dalvin, based on your dwarven heritage, you think that okay, this is like, obviously when they're done mining one room, they're just going to expand it to another room, and you see that this one is just as large as the previous one. However, this doesn't seem to be mined as much in comparison. Strangely, at the other end of the room, you do see something glowing and pulsating. You see seems like to be bright teal lights that are seems to be coming from some sort of gem that is encapsulated by just the natural rock formations around it. And you see that it is giving a weird, eerie glow on the other side of the room that is barely lighting that area up. I would say you would have to move deeper into the room just to get in range using a crossbow. All right, you go in a little bit deeper. What do? As you go in a bit deeper, you do so. At this at this point, you are in range. All right, go ahead and just roll damage for me. All right, you shoot, and as you shoot, you chip a little bit of that rock, and it pulsates and is reactive and light as soon as you hit it. And then you hear a loud screeching just echo through the house, going, and from this eminent light, as it glows, you see darkness, and you recognize this Tangi as being a cleric. Is like this is some weird magical darkness that is slowly starting to obscure your guys' area. But luckily, you have the light spell, so what once you could see a bit further is now only limited to the light spell and just faintly the teal crystal. And as this light spell is still up, and as you are looking around your areas, you see that you guys are completely surrounded by large size shadow stalkers. And that's where we're gonna end the session here tonight. I'll give you guys a quick preview in the Discord. I'll wait for the stream to end afterwards. But we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in tonight, and we shall start combat next week. So stay tuned. Take care.